So is it worth getting a Switch 2 yet, or what? I've been holding off recommending a Switch 2. Until it got some more games. At launch, we had Mario Kart World, and that's it. I guess you can count third parties. I guess third parties count. I just played most of the third parties on other platforms, but it is impressive to have them on a Nintendo console, especially one that's so powerful and thin and tiny and cute. I have to keep reminding myself that most people aren't up to date with the latest Steam games. And a lot of people who currently own Nintendo Switch 2s might not have necessarily played Street Fighter 6, say, on another console. But I want to focus on games that are right at home on the Switch 2. Some games that you can play after you're finished with, Donkey Kong Bananza or Mario Kart World. There are also some games coming out that currently have free demos that you can try. So even though you have to wait for the full game, there's some free time killers for you right now. I was a bit surprised by the amount of games that I was even able to put on this list, but I tried to keep it to the very best ones. Games that I think are worth even getting a Nintendo Switch 2 for. I want to kind of skip right over the big ones. Mario Kart World is the obvious choice. Most people who bought a Switch 2 got the bundle with Mario Kart World. I'm not a huge Mario Kart guy, but I can see why so many people bought a Switch 2 just for this. It's an extremely popular family game, and it's a great showcase of what the Switch 2 is capable of. In the same vein, the updates to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are also great showcases of the Switch 2's capabilities. And DK Bananza is probably the best first-party game available on the Switch 2. This is honestly the one that I think pushes the Switch 2 over the edge. I don't think the Switch 2 is for early adopters anymore. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza turns it into a system worthy of having in your arsenal now. I also think that the Nintendo Switch Online subscription is often overlooked. The retro games library has gotten massive, especially if you splurge for the expansion pack. They're not all bangers, but there are a lot of bangers in there. Most of the best games of all time are sitting in this collection, including some niche ones that people often forget about. The Game Boy Advance games are some of my favorites. Play some Four Swords adventure with some friends. Check out Metroid Fusion, one of the best Metroidvania games of all time. If you liked Hollow Knight and you haven't played this, then what the hell are you doing? And on the Switch 2, you get the GameCube games as well. It's a relatively small collection right now, but the Mario Strikers that's on Nintendo Switch Online is better than the Mario Strikers that's on the Switch 1. It actually feels better to play. It's absurd. And soon, I'm sure we'll be getting Mario Sunshine and other classics. We'll also be getting Virtual Boy games on the Switch 2. If you buy the accessory, let's just ignore that. Sonic Racing Crossworlds comes out this week. People are excited for that. A lot of people think it's better than Mario Kart World, and those people are psychos. There seems to be more ways to accelerate in this game. It also seems to be easier to recover from getting whaled by an item. And the warping between worlds in the middle of a race is kind of cool visually, but it is an objectively worse game than Mario Kart. If you like Mario Kart, but you like Sonic more, or maybe you're just looking for a new game to try, there is a demo out for this. So you can try it for yourself. It's worth a free try.
This deal keeps getting worse. There's no Switch 2 version. It's coming out holiday 2025 with a physical launching early next year. And it's going to be a $10 upgrade if you get the current Switch version. At least you can play a demo.
I actually played the Steam version of this demo. A lot of the games that you're going to see here are games that I played on Steam. I like to get most of my games there because I just have a ton of devices. And I like the versatility of playing them on all those different ones. There is no difference in any of these games between the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game and the Steam version that I'm playing on some low-powered PC handhelds anyway. I'll give you one more game before I hit you with a sponsored spot. Please watch the sponsored spot. YouTube doesn't pay me enough, and almost none of these games have affiliate links. Star Wars Outlaws just came out on the Switch 2, and it's being used as an example of just how impressive Switch 2 ports can be. I played it on my various PC handhelds, and it ran pretty decent on those, albeit a little ugly sometimes. Now, some say it runs better on the Switch 2 than it did on those PC handhelds. I think it looks the same, but we're splitting hairs here. I was a big fan of those old school LucasArts Star Wars games. Those games usually come with a little bit of jank. Star Wars Outlaws is honestly very similar. Contrary to what the trailers look like, it's actually mostly a stealth game. It's like Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs, but Star Wars. Just being in the Star Wars universe was enough for me to have a great time here, and it's an impressive achievement on the Switch too. I have to keep reminding myself this is a cute little thin $450 device. Star Wars Outlaws is available now for $60. I keep talking about how small and cute the Nintendo Switch 2 is. This is just not something that I'm used to gripping after coming from these big ergonomic PC handhelds. Gripping this thing with my big meaty man hands is not the best experience. And that's why when I'm playing in handheld mode around the house, I try to use this video's sponsor, Satisfye. Now the Switch 2 is an ergonomic masterpiece. No more cramping during long play sessions. The asymmetric design corrects your hand placement so your fingers can sit right on the controls. It's perfectly dockable too, even with a screen protector on. No bulging or rubbing from the dock. And you can still access those dock USB ports. No need to take that grip off at all. It's got rubberized grips for your hands, free-floating design to protect the Switch 2. It stands up on its own, and it still has access to the kickstand and both USB-C ports. Yeah, so what is podcast doing better than mine? I'm just living my life, babe. Oh, I gotta go. Get your Zen Grip 2 or even the Slim Bundle or the Beat 'em Ups one over at Satisfye.com and use code WolfDen to get a whole 10% off. There are so many more games to talk about. One thing you should know about me before going any further is that I love 2D side scrollers. And if you ever see a list of games by me, boy howdy, you're going to see a lot of 2D side scrollers. The one everybody's talking about right now is Hollow Knight Silksong. It is a very good game. The Metroidvania aspects make it a little difficult to stay on track. It's hard to figure out where you should be going sometimes, but I do love the traversal and the movement and the platform. So navigating around the map isn't as tedious as it can be, only when I get really, really lost. But the boss fights more than make up for it. I will warn you, it is a difficult game, but I know a lot of people who don't normally play games like this who are also having a great time. So how hard can it be? It's available right now for $20, and it's available on all platforms, but this is a game that feels just right at home on the Switch, on a home/portable console hybrid. Or you could do what I did and move your cloud save between all these different wacky devices. If you've already played Hollow Knight Silksong and you liked it, I have some suggestions for games that you might like just as much, if not more. Some games that have flown under the radar, that haven't received the same amount of love. First of all, play Metroid Fusion if you haven't played Metroid Fusion already. It's on the Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy Advance library, and it's only like 4 hours long. It's absolutely one of the best Metroidvanias out there. But also, check out Blade Chimera. This is a severely underrated game. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but it might be my favorite Metroidvania of the year. This is a Switch 1 game, but it plays just fine on the Switch 2 also. It plays a lot more like a traditional Castlevania or Metroid game in that the map unlocks as you traverse. It's a bit more linear, even though there's a lot of map to explore. And the unlocks are kind of sick. You're constantly upgrading your weapons and abilities and getting super powerful. And a lot like Hollow Knight, the boss fights are awesome. I didn't find the difficulty hard at all. I think this is more for casual Castlevania or Metroid players. But of course, it helps if you like the weird futuristic world and the PS1 art style. It's on the eShop for $20, but if you have a PC, there's a free demo on Steam, so you can try it there before you buy it. Another game that you absolutely have to try if you loved the boss fights in Hollow Knight Silksong is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. That's one that came out recently that also flew under the radar. I love this one. It's not a Metroidvania. It's got linear levels. There is a fair amount of platforming going on, but as you gain more abilities, you end up using them all in the levels that you play, making the gameplay more and more complex and more rewarding. And the end of each level has some of the best boss fights I've ever played. But it is a fairly difficult game. Get ready to throw yourself at these boss battles over and over and over again. Good thing you don't have lives like you used to in the old NES days. It also got a patch recently, so the Switch 2 version finally has a 60 frames per second option, as well as the CRT filters I've been playing with. I think the CRT filters make the game look sick. It's $25 on the eShop now, but they took the demo away, those bastards. Today, when this video launches, Hades 2 will be available on the Switch 2, and it will be a Switch 2 console exclusive, although it'll also be on the Switch 1, and it'll also be on Steam. But on the Switch 2, you'll be able to utilize 120 frames per second docked in docked mode. You still can't use in handheld mode. You still can't use this beautiful 120 hertz screen for anything. Hades 1 is a classic roguelike everybody loved when it came out years ago. Hades 2 is extremely highly anticipated. I haven't played it, but I'll be playing it on Twitch tonight, so come watch. Hades 1 is one of the best rated games on the Switch 1, so I'm sure I'll like it. Hades 2 is currently $30 on the eShop. UFO 50 is a game that I played the hell out of last year. It was locked on Steam, so you couldn't get it on any other platform. It only just recently made its way over to Switch, which surprises me because it seems like it fits right at home on the Switch too. It's a collection of 50 small-ish games that all feel like NES games. They even all have fake publishers, and some of them are sequels of other ones, and characters carry over between games. Playing this game feels like you've opened up an alternative universe's Nintendo Switch Online NES game collection. Some of the games in here are amazing, like Mortal and Velgress and Rail Heist, but not all of them are great. But even the bad ones have the charm of feeling exactly like old NES games. You can still appreciate them for the novelty of being stuck in that late 80s, early 90s game design. UFO 50 is a must-try if you like retro games. It's currently $25. I want to take a second to highlight some free games that you can get on the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm sure you've all heard a little game called Fortnite. Well, the Switch 2 version supports mouse mode. It's not as amazing as I would have hoped, but it's at the very least a free way for you to show off the one new cool feature the Switch 2 has. Fortnite also runs very well on the Switch 2, especially compared to the Switch 1. It feels a lot more like a low-end PC, whereas the Switch 1 version felt like a mobile version. Apex Legends is also free. It is a massive download, so get ready for that. But it runs way, way better than the Switch 1 version. The Switch 1 version was virtually unplayable. It was a blurry mess. The Switch 2 version, again, feels a lot more like a lower-end PC. But not even that low-end. It's still getting a solid 60 frames per second. I love the idea of playing a multiplayer game on your computer and taking your progress with you portably. Now that the Switch 2 versions of these games are actually playable, it makes them more of a viable option when you're away from your main gaming setup. That is, unfortunately, all of the games that are currently available that I have already played and feel comfortable recommending for the Switch 2. But you might notice there is still a lot of time left in this video. And that's because I would like to highlight some games that are coming out but have free demos that you can go try right now. So if you already have a Switch 2 and you're getting bored of it, here's some free ways to get some more use out of your Switch 2. You've got The Adventures of Elliot. This game doesn't come out till next year, but it has a demo that took me over an hour to beat, and this demo is only available on the Switch 2. And I absolutely loved it. I always loved the art style of games like Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy. Hated the names though, but loved the way those games looked. I also do not like 80-hour turn-based JRPGs, so those games were not for me. But Elliot, which also has a very bad full name that I'm not going to say, Elliot is an homage to old top-down Zelda games, so that's right up my alley. The game also just throws you right into the action. There's not too much exposition in the beginning. There's a Navi-like character, and instead of being useless, she actually attacks enemies for you. You can also use her to run extra fast or teleport. I was using the teleport to kind of dodge enemy attacks. The combat felt really, really good, and the boss fight at the end of the demo is sick. and very, very hard on hard mode. The game made me feel like a bitch for picking normal, so I had to pick hard mode. The game doesn't come out till 2026, and I don't even think it has a price yet, but it does have a great demo. Mina the Hollower is Yacht Club Games' next original IP. They're the guys who made Shovel Knight, which was an NES-styled game. This one is more of a Game Boy Color-styled Castlevania, but it's top-down like an old-school Zelda game type shit. It's got this sick dig mechanic that you can use as like a dodge roll. I played a demo years ago, back when they said they don't do playable demos for the public. Well, here's a playable demo. And the Switch 2 version allows for 120 frames per second in portable mode. Now you can finally make use of that 120 hertz screen you paid for. I can't wait to film that in slow motion and see what this Switch 2 panel actually looks like at 120 hertz. Oh my God, they pulled the demo. The demo's not available anymore. I missed it. I'm sorry, Celia, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I waited too long. We'll have to wait for the release on Halloween, October 31st. Constance was my original, hey, if you like Hollow Knight, you should play this game. I'll admit, I never loved the way that the original Hollow Knight felt. I played Constance at PAX this year, and it immediately hit me as a more colorful Hollow Knight with a little splash of Splatoon, because you can ride your ink like in Splatoon, and then that's the only reason that it's like Splatoon. The platforming is sick, and it also has some pretty fantastic boss fights. The demo is pretty long and pretty brutal, but unfortunately, the demo is only available on Steam. I'm so sorry. The game launches on Steam first, November 24th. It will be coming to Switch later, but there isn't even an eShop page for it yet. This game is worth checking out however you can, especially if you're a Hollow Knight guy. If there's any takeaway from this video, it should be to just play some of these games on Steam. For the love of God, they're there first most of the time anyway. There aren't all that many first-party Nintendo games in the pipeline that I'm too excited about. There is Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Believe it or not, I haven't played 2. So I'll be getting 2. I have Mario Galaxy 1 already on the old 3D All-Stars collection from the Switch 1, and I played it there. So I'll be spending the $40 on Mario Galaxy 2 for the Switch 2. So I'm glad you don't have to get these games as a pack. You can get them separately. But if you've never played Mario Galaxy before, these are some of the best games of all time. They might be old, but they definitely still hold up today. Some people are upset that these games cost $70. I spent $70 on Uber Eats yesterday. You just don't know how much things cost until you check out. Everything sucks these days. Kirby Air Riders comes out November 20th. I was not interested in this game at all until Sakurai did a 45-minute presentation on it. It basically looks like if Mario Kart was good. I also never realized just how much of Smash Bros. Was Kirby coded. This game looks like Smash Bros. Racing. It's so fast. There's a lot of mechanics. It looks like you might actually stand a chance if you're focused on racing and battling, unlike Mario Kart, where the game is just random chaos. I'm actually really looking forward to this. It will be $70 at launch. And of course, Metroid Prime 4 might be the most anticipated Nintendo game of this year. We've been waiting for this game for literally 8 years. I had the privilege of playing it for a little bit at the Nintendo event earlier this year. But I have to be honest, I really wasn't paying much attention to the gameplay. I was kind of focused on the Switch 2 as a piece of hardware because I haven't touched one yet by this point. This game will support mouse mode. It will probably be the best use of mouse mode. It felt really good from what I played a few months ago. It also supports 120 frames per second, which will be great for playing docked at my desk with a desk mat, which you can get at wolfdenapparel.com. Thank you so much. However, we still have yet to see this game running in portable mode at all. I'm very skeptical that this game will run at 120 frames per second in portable mode at all. I would love to be proven wrong, though. I think this game's going to be great. I love the older Prime games, but I'm mostly excited for this one for technical reasons. I'm excited to use this as a benchmark for what the Switch 2 is capable of, from a graphical standpoint, from a frame rate standpoint, and from a control standpoint, thanks to that mouse mode. This will be out December 4th, and it will be $70 on the Switch 2. I think that upgrade from the Switch 1 version will definitely be worth it. And that's all that I got. I think that everything here, even if you just get a couple of these games, makes the Switch 2 worth picking up. And if you already have a PC and you can play a lot of these games there, instead of being upset, why don't you be grateful that you have some great new PC games to play? And again, I was approaching this from the standpoint that people who are buying a Switch 2, most of them probably don't have some other way to play most of these games. So having them be multi-platform is a great thing. And besides, I think that games like Donkey Kong Bananza or Hades 2 even are games that push the Switch 2 over that threshold. It makes the Switch 2 worth getting, even if you already have a PC or a PC handheld that are capable of playing a lot of these games already. The Switch 2 might not be my main system. I don't really have a main system these days, but I've been finding myself picking it up more and more these days. And I'll be dusting it off more frequently as the holidays approach, as we get more of these great games too. So what do you guys think about the Switch 2? Is it collecting dust in your house, or were you holding off getting one and maybe I convinced you to do so? I got an affiliate link for it. Please, for the love of God, use that. If you played a game here and you vouched for it, or if you found a game here and you ended up liking it, leave it in the comments below, at me on Twitter, any and all of this other social media garbage, or recommend some games to me. Maybe I left something out. Come on over to twitch.tv/wolfden, usually Thursdays at 8 o'clock and Sundays at 8 o'clock and Tuesdays at 8 o'clock for the podcast. The best way to support us is to support our sponsors. Thank you, Satisfye, for sponsoring this video. Also, subscribe. That helps. And share this video with a friend who is interested in getting a Switch 2. Maybe this will push them over the edge. Or maybe somebody who has one and is just collecting dust in their house. Thank you very much. Have yourself a good week. I have no idea how this microphone sounds. I just got it. So, we'll see.